Hi, I'm Don Coleman, and today you're in my workshop. What we're going to be exploring is how to make your first segmented bowl. On YouTube, there are a lot of places where you can find all kinds of beautiful dizzy patterns and things like that to work. But to make your first bowl, you need to start someplace. Like if I gave you this pattern, this has got 112 segments per row. It would freak you out trying to make something like this. So these are just some of the things I've made in the past to show my credentials. This is kind of neat. This is a pretty what's called a painted segmented bowl. This has got 48 segments per ring. But I didn't start there. This is a little bell that's got, well, I don't know how many. I think it had over 600 pieces in this little bell, which is about 2.5 inches tall. I wanted to do here today is to start to show you how to make a segmented bowl, very first bowl. It's not the way I would do things today, but it's an easy way for you to get started. It does not require any additional equipment or anything like that. But the difference between a segmented bowl and a bowl that you go turn on a lathe, say from a solid chunk of wood, is that you have to pre-plan. And this is the planning stage. First of all, you have to decide what you're going to make. I've got a daughter that wanted me to make a bowl that would hold her yarn while she's knitting. So we're going to go ahead and make this. This is just ordinary graph paper. And what I'm going to do is divide it on the seam in half, just like that. Now, these are decisions that you have to make ahead of time. First of all, I'm going to make it 9 inches in diameter at the top. 1 inch square, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. We'll make a mark there, and we're going to make a mark there. Now, she wants it about 6 inches tall, so we come down 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the bowl will be inside this. Now what we do is only draw 1/2 of it, and then I'll go to a window and fill it in. Now, this will be the upper diameter. The bottom diameter is going to be say 4.5 inches. So that'd be 2 1/4. There's 2 1/4. So this will be the base. So what we do then, what I kind of like to do is just the arc of your wrist, it will give you a nice curve. So that's be kind of what the bowl is going to look like. This will be the outside diameter. The inside diameter is going to be about 1/4 inch. So just kind of freehand this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go over to a window, and I'm going to trace the other half through here so that we've got a full bowl. Okay, now this is what the bowl's going to look like. Now, One of the nice things about doing these, you have some decisions that you can make. I'm making mine 6 inches tall. If you wanted to cut this off, you could say only do one, maybe a couple inches, and you'd have a nice little bowl for something else. So don't be intimidated by my drawing, and don't try to copy that. This is where the fun of segmented woodworking comes about. Now I'm going to make, just for the ease, I'm going to make mine in, this will be 8 inches, 8 rows, and this is 6 inches tall, and it's 9 inches wide. So there's going to be a row every 3/4 of an inch. Now I've already decided I wanted 8 rows. This is what the graph is going to look like. Now, for the next step, you have to decide how many segments you want per row. I would recommend on this first one that you do 12. You always want to do an even number of segments per row in order to do some sanding and stuff like that. This is an exaggerated size of a segment piece. The key thing here is this is a segmented edge length. This is what we're going to need to know. This will be the board length that I cut my segments from. And this will be the thickness. This is the interior diameter. And this is the outside diameter. So this is what we're going to be doing. And what the objective is to cut it, and like we'll have 12 segments like this, and then we want a nice tight fit like this. So the next thing that we have to do is determine what the segmented edge length is going to be. I'm going to have a hole in this bottom section here that I'll plug later on. This first one, if we make the segment from here over to here, now that's going to be 1, 2. That's going to be the first segment. That's going to be 2 1/4 inches. Just to avoid any pinch marks. Now, if you started, brought your edge right here, by the time you come in here and smooth that off, you could wind up cutting back in here, and it will make a hole in your bowl. You don't want that. So let's leave plenty of room on this one. Let's start this one here, and we're going to make ours 3/4 of an inch. Oh, I screwed up. I wasn't paying attention. This is the first one. Nice little catcher there. Okay, let's start right here, and we'll come out here for the second one. And now here we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll be 2 inches. For the next one, let's come in here like that. See, that'll give me plenty of room there. That'll be 1.5 inches. See, I want to come out here on the line. If I brought it over in here, I could wind up with the pinch points. Inch and a quarter. I think that's one. And it'll be an inch and a quarter on this top one here too. Now let's just make this one right there. Okay, this is the drawing that we've got of our bowl now. We got segments in here. The next thing that we have to do is go to the shop order sheet. I've done this off camera just so that I can be sure it's correct and that you'll be able to follow it and read my writing. We've got 8 rows. The next column that we have is the outside diameter of the segments. What we're talking about here is this is our segment, which is 2 1/4 inches wide. So at this point, the radius is 3 1/4 inches. Double that, that's 6 1/2 inches for the outside diameter. The next row 2 is 4 inches, and row 3 is 4 inches. So I've got 8 inches for the outside diameter. Row 4 and 5 are 4 1/4. That gives me 8 1/2 inches for the outside diameter. Row 6 is 4 1/2, which is 9, 7, and 8 are both 4 1/4. 4.75, excuse me. The board length is this dimension right here. On row 1, it's 2 1/4. This is the stock that we'll have to cut our segments from. And row 2 is 2 inches. Row 3, 4 are 1.5 inches. Row 5, 6, well, the rest of them are all 1 1/4 inches. That gives me my length. Now, the next thing that you have to do is you have to get your calculator out and find out what your outside circumference is from each of these points. As you know, it's the circumference is equal to 3.142 times the diameter. That comes up with the 20.42 here. 8 times that 3.142 is equal to 25.14. 8 1/2 is 26.71. 8 1/2, 26.71. 9 is 28.28. 9 1/2 is 29.85. That's pi times your diameter, outside diameter. The next thing that I have come up with, we have chosen 0.75 inches for thickness. That's this dimension. That's 0.75 inches. So that what we have to do now is calculate the segmented edge length. Now we have, at this point, we haven't made it anything that we could choose between 12 and 144 segments. We're going to use 12 for this one. So we have to find out what that segmented edge length is. That's dividing the 12 into the outside circumference. So that comes up to 1.7 inches. 2.1. 12 into the 25 is a 2.1. 2.23, 2.23, and so on, and 2.49. Circumference divided by the number of segments. If I wanted to do it, that's 24 segments, that would equal to be 0.85. The next thing that we have to determine is what angle we want to cut these at. As we know, there's 360 degrees in a circle. We have chosen to use 12 segments, but there's two sides that we have to cut, this side and this side. So we have to multiply our number of segments times 2 and divide that into 360. So here we have 12 segments times 2 is equal to 24 divided into the 360 means that we have a 15-degree angle that we have to set up our saw on. If we were wanting the 24 segments, times 24 times 2 is equal to 48 into the 360 would be 7.5 degrees. And that determines this angle right here. So this is all the information you need to make up your first bowl. The other thing we're using walnut on all of these. You could use different species of wood, and then you want to mark it down in here. On the complex patterns, I may have 6 different colors of wood, kinds of wood in it. But for this one, we're just using one species to make it simple.